Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Alex here, and I'm going to be taking you through 12 player props. So I've said this before, but I've been dabbling on this platform. I usually don't have it available to me. It's a relatively new platform, and it's called Parlay. And what's cool about this platform is it's basically a replica of prizepicks. They basically just ripped prizepicks, but they offer you slightly higher payouts, right? So on Parlay, if you go 5 for 6 and a 6-pick insured entry, you get a 2.5x payout. Right? Whereas on prizepicks, you're only getting a 2x payout. So Parlay offers better payouts than prizepicks. So if you could place your bets on either Parlay or prizepicks, you'd rather place them on Parlay. So I've explained this before, but what makes these fantasy platforms really interesting, these platforms like prizepicks, Parlay, is they don't vary your payouts based on you selecting over or under. So you're going to notice here, as I switch this to over or under, our payout doesn't change. Right? 6 picks, doesn't matter if you take all unders, all overs, you're always getting the same payout, right? Always getting the same payout. So it's different from FanDuel that has all these odds on its website. Parlay is different. Any 6 picks you select, you're always getting the same payout. So the strategy for beating them, and the tool I typically start out on, is the OddsJam positive expected value, positive EV tool. So the way this tool works is you just select the sportsbooks you use. Currently, I'm in California, so no DraftKings, no FanDuel, no Caesars. I'm sure there's value on these sportsbooks as well. I just don't have access to them right now, right? I say this all the time, but depending on where you're located, you may have different sportsbooks available to you. The same concepts of finding an edge, finding bets with value apply, but you may be betting on different sportsbooks, right? Currently, I'm using the options I have. I'm using Parlay. So again, Parlay, they're not varying our payouts based on us selecting over or under. So the strategy for beating them, as well as the strategy for beating prizepicks, is just find spots where sportsbooks have an over or an under really heavily favored, right? So for Evan Rodriguez, all of the sportsbooks, right? You have numerous data points, Bet Online, Bovada, FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings, all the books have his under as the heavily favored outcome, right? So the under is more likely than the over. And this is really important to understand. This is the key to beating prizepicks, to beating Parlay, is just internalizing these platforms aren't varying my payouts based on me selecting over or under. So I want to find spots where sportsbooks are telling me one side is heavily favored, right? So for Evan Rodriguez, all the books have his under 2.5 shots on goal heavily favored. So that's a play we want to go with, right? And I say it all the time, but you really need to internalize that sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds, right? So if we look at the Nets-Sixers game, the Sixers are big favorites, right? They're like minus 350, minus 380 on the sportsbook. So all the books are telling you is the 76ers are big favorites. They're a lot more likely to win the game, right? So on Parlay, here, for Evan Rodriguez, we definitely don't want to take his over because the under is a lot more likely to occur. So what OddsJam is doing is pretty simple. It's literally just scanning, all of these lines, MLB lines, NBA lines. It's pulling in all this data from Parlay, from prizepicks, right? It's reading in millions of odds across the entire market every second to show you these few rare betting opportunities on Parlay, on prizepicks, underdog fantasy. You're going to see a play on underdog fantasy where sportsbooks have the under or the over really heavily favored on that platform. So you can see the top play on Parlay is Evan Rodriguez under 2.5 shots on goal, right? All the books have his under pretty heavily favored to like minus 145 odds. I mean, you can see, and you have numerous data points. This is what's so amazing about sports betting, right? Is all these books, they try to set lines independently. So you essentially have numerous data points, 10 data points, all telling you where the line should be set. And all the sports books are saying the exact same thing. Evan's under is the heavily favored outcome. Sure, Caesars has the under a bit more favored. Caesars has a little more juice to the under than DraftKings does. So Caesars, right, their model, Caesars is saying the under is slightly more likely than DraftKings is, right? Caesars has more juice towards the under. They're giving you worse odds on the under. So according to Caesars, in their model, they're saying Evans under is more likely than DraftKings. But all these books, you try to get a sense of where the market's at, and they're roughly around minus 140, minus 145, right? So Evans under is a pretty big favorite, about a minus 140 favorite. He's more likely to go under. That's a great play to include on Parlay. So my first picks, Johan under 4.5 strikeouts, Evan under 2.5 shots on goal. I would have played this on Underdog Fantasy, but again, Pretty simply, I couldn't find two other picks right now on Underdog Fantasy, so I didn't end up taking it. But I took Vukovic over 15.5 points, Overton over 3.5 strikeouts. And again, I'm literally just following the data. So I've explained this before, but if you reverse engineer, so if you go over to Parlay Play, right, if you reverse engineer these payouts, essentially all you have to do to make money on Parlay Play is win 53.2% of your picks, right? So if you can select your over-unders, if you can be correct, so if you can select, let's say for Marte, if you can get his over-under correctly, any over-unders you select, if you can hit these at a rate of 54%, you're going to be profitable. Here's your ROI. I'll include this spreadsheet in the description. It's literally just breaking down the math of Parlay Play. But if you can get 54% of your picks correctly, 46% you can get wrong, you're still going to be profitable on Parlay Play, right? So this is the only number you care about. This is all that matters, right? How often am I winning each of my picks? So for Evan Rodriguez, all the books have his under pretty heavily favored, so this is a play that's winning approximately 55% of the time. Based on the sportsbook odds, we're following the data, following the market as a sharp bettor. Based on the fact that all the sportsbooks have his under juiced to like minus 140, we're hitting this player prop about 55% of the time. So it's going to be really profitable in a Parlay Play entry because, again, on Parlay Play, you just need to hit your picks 53.22% of the time to be profitable, and the OddsJam EV tool is just showing you plays that have a higher win probability than 53.22%, right? So what we can actually do is if you pull up, this calculator is kind of cool. It's called a no-vig calculator. Basically what it does is it takes a sportsbook's market and tells you how likely the over and under are to occur. Right, so obviously because the under is favored, right? The under is the favored outcome on all these sports books. So let me zoom out a bit. So let's go back here and let's go ahead and let's open it up. So because the under is heavily favored on the sports books, the under is going to be over 50% to occur, right? So we know the under is going to be above 50% to occur. But what you can do is you can take a sportsbook's market and it will tell you, hey, based on the fact that Pinnacle has the under, so this is the sharpest sportsbook in the world, Pinnacle right here, based on the fact that they have the under at minus 139, the over at plus 105, the under is 54.38% to hit. So 54.38% to hit according to Pinnacle. So that would be an 11% ROI in your Parlay Play entry, right? So this is a profitable play because, again, it's winning over 53.22% of the time. So Pinnacle, they had the under a bit more favored than DraftKings. So if we put in DraftKings market, so according to DraftKings model, they only have the under at minus 135. So if we put in DraftKings model, they're just saying, hey, this is only 54.08% to occur. So slightly lower, right, than Pinnacle was. So this play's still going to be profitable in your Parlay Play entry, but DraftKings is a little less aggressive on the under. They have the under a little less favored than Pinnacle does, right? Because Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker, they have more juice towards the under. And then Bovada thinks the under is even more favored than Pinnacle does. So long story short, I grabbed these plays from the EV tool. There was also a lot of value on Fliff. So this is a sports book. I think it's available in basically every U.S. state except Washington. It's an 18-plus sports book as well. And there's a lot of profitable bets on it, but currently I can't figure out how to get money into the platform, which is really annoying. But what you're going to notice is here, just as an example, showing you that OddsJam, it doesn't only work for these fantasy sites like prizepicks, like Parlay Play. You can use it on sports books. It just shows you value, right? This is data-driven sports betting. 99% of bettors, they trust their heart, their gut. That's why they lose money, right? Follow data. So here for Justin Steele, all the sports books, you can see BetOnline has the under at minus 182. Pinnacle has the under at minus 145. All these books have the under, kind of around like minus 160 odds. And on Fliff, you can get Justin Steele under 5.5 strikeouts at minus 120. So again, OddsJam is pretty simple platform. It's just scanning these millions of odds across the market and pointing out value on the sports books you use, right? So if I select all sports books, what you can see is the top play currently available is on Ballybet. This sportsbook, I think it's only in New York. So I don't have access to it right now, so I'm missing out on this profitable play. But you can see you can get Eric Hosmer to not get a hit, so to go under half of the hit at plus 170. All the other sportsbooks are pricing this around plus 130 odds. So you're getting crazy value on this play. So if you have Ballybet, this would be a great play to go with. It would be a profitable bet, right? This would be the play you want to go with if you're in New York and you're using Bally Bet. So the more sportsbooks you have, the more profitable betting opportunities there are going to be. Here's a play on Circa. Here's a play on the Avalanche on Tony Bet. So I think this is a sportsbook only available in Canada, but you can see you can get the Avs over 3.5 team total goals at plus 110. No other sportsbook is even giving you plus money. Every other sportsbook is giving you, you have to bet over $100 to win back $100 in profit, and you're getting plus 110 on Tony Bet. So crazy value. So those are some of the first plays I went with. And then I switched over to this fantasy screen. So it's currently in beta mode. It's free to use. But what this tool does is similar to the EV tool. It's just using sportsbook odds, right? So we already saw this play on Johan Oviedo. And it's just pointing out spots where sportsbooks have an under or an over really heavily favored, right? So you're going to notice here, for Evan Rodriguez, we're going to see this player prop again. All the sportsbooks have his under heavily favored. So this just quantifies for you the probability of that play hitting. So you can see right here, for Evan Rodriguez, this player prop is going to be winning. His under is going to be hitting at a rate of 54.7%, according to the sportsbooks, right? There's no BS here. It's all data. It's all based in where the sportsbooks are setting their odds. So according to the sportsbooks, this player prop is roughly 54.73% to hit. So that's over 53.22%. So it's going to be profitable in your parlay play entry. Same with Rosario, under 1.5 bases. All the sportsbooks have his under 1.5 bases. So you can see for Rosario, all the books have his under 1.5 bases. Pretty heavily favored, kind of around minus 135 odds. So there's less juice. Right here, you can see there's more juice for Evan Rodriguez. There's more juice for his under, as opposed to Rosario under 1.5 bases. So this player prop on Evan is slightly more likely to hit. But hey, Rosario is still 54.02% to hit, so it's still going to be profitable in our parlay play entry. Right? So you're just looking for all these player props. You don't want to take the plays in red. Right? Red means they're hitting below 53.22% of the time. You just want to look, so like you don't, this play, so as an example, Harrison Barnes is under 1.5 threes. Sure, sportsbooks have the under favored. Sportsbooks have his under, around minus 125, minus 130 odds. So the sportsbooks have the under slightly favored, but not enough that you're going to be hitting it 53.22% of the time, right? So if you think about sports betting, it's pretty simple. So if we go over to like the NBA as an example, we said earlier, sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds, right? So the Cavs versus the Knicks are roughly minus 200 odds, right? So minus 200 odds, they're roughly a minus 200 favorite. The Cavs are roughly a minus 200 favorite. That means they're 2-1 to win the game, right? They're 2-1 favorites, minus 200. So they're 2/3 to win this game, 66.67%. Right? Sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds. So the sports betting market, the point where there's equal action, a balanced amount of action coming in on the Knicks and Cavs, is minus 200 for the Cavs. They're a 2-1 favorite. They're going to win this game 2 out of 3 times, 66.67% of the time. So you can see here for Harrison Barnes, sure, the sportsbooks have the under slightly favored, but very slightly. Right? So the under is going to be hitting a little more frequently than the over for Harrison Barnes, but you're not getting enough value to include this in a parlay play slip. Right? So OddsJam, again, is just scanning all these lines and pointing out the plays to you. You want to take the plays in green that are hitting over 53.22% of the time. Charlie Morton, over 1.5 walks, right? Sportsbooks have his over juice to like minus 135-ish, so this play is profitable enough to include in a parlay play entry. So what I ended up going with is, let's just get into it, is here's the first one. Vukovic over 15.5 points. Evan Rodriguez under 2.5 shots on goal. Morton over 1.5 walks. Oviedo under 4.5 strikeouts. So where's that? So I think all these plays, right here. Oviedo under 4.5 strikeouts. Rosario under 1.5 bases. Morton, Overton over 3.5 strikeouts. So that's the first player prop I went with. And then here's the second one. All these plays, again, just from the fantasy screen. Cal Quantrill, under 1.5 walks. Quan, under 1.5 bases. Mountcastle, under 1.5 bases. Ramirez, under 1.5 bases. You're going to see all of these player props right here, right? Mountcastle, under 1.5 bases. literally just following the data. Jose Ramirez, under 1.5 bases, just taking all the player props I can. And then a couple more plays, all from the fantasy screen. So hopefully this video was helpful about how to use parlay play, how to use data to become a more profitable sports bettor. Let's make money.